My next guest says Republicans will not and should not compromise on tax cuts. He also says the August 2nd deadline is a make-believe deadline. Joining me now is Grover Norquist. He's president of Americans for Tax Reform. Grover, great to have you with us.
Good to be with you.
And to see you out of the nation's capital for a while.
Absolutely.
Let's start with this. What we're hearing now from this administration is a balanced approach to deficit reduction, to debt negotiations, to the budget of 2000. Balanced. It's balanced, but it means more taxes. What do you think?
Well, the Obama, Reid, Pelosi administration ran spending up by $1 trillion a year, from 2.8 to 3.8 trillion, $1 trillion. And now their argument is not they should give back the trillion addition, but we should raise taxes to pay for the additional trillion in higher spending, basically become something between France and Greece. And my argument is the problem is spending. You only fix an overspending problem by spending less. Raising taxes facilitates higher spending, doesn't combat it.
Yeah, it seems like a very simple concept for people to grasp in Washington, D.C., but it seems to elude them. And that is that for every dollar that you raise taxes, that's a dollar that you know darn well of federal spending that won't be reduced. So there is no incentive whatsoever, it seems to me at least.
Tax increases are what you do instead of, in place of, spending cuts.
So how do you lose a guy like Senator Tom Coburn? He suddenly is on the Gang of Six, or whatever you want to call it. And the next thing he's talking about tax increases. And this is, I think, the expression has always been a reliable conservative.
Yeah. A hero on fighting against earmarks and some of the silly spending in the past, Tom Coburn. Here's the challenge. In Washington, D.C., any Republican or conservative, or the couple of conservative Democrats, are told every day, we have to raise taxes as part of a deal. That has to happen. And after a while, unless you learn to not listen to nonsense, okay, and go home and touch base in Oklahoma and Kansas and real
Get out
America,
of that rarefied air.
It sinks in. I mean, every journalist in D.C., every smart person in D.C. will look you in the eye and say, of course we have to raise taxes and cut spending, just like 82 and 90.
It seems there's a certain group of folks, maybe those you just described, who want to be sort of informed sophisticates who really understand the balance of nature, and therefore that means there has to be tax cuts. One of them is Jay Carney, the White House press spokesman, who continues to put out this this lexicon or propaganda, depending on how you want to describe it, a balanced approach. It sounds so benign. Grover, I mean, that can't be wrong if it's that benign, can it?
Look at what they don't do, okay? I think we should cut spending. See, I just said it. Cut spending, cut spending,
out loud.
Spending, out loud. What the other team wants, what the advocates of larger government want, what the people who want to create the new larger federal government is the new normal, they want to raise taxes, okay? Go through all their transcripts. Those are two words they never use. Raise taxes. They want to increase revenue enhancement. Revenue is very... Revenue doesn't sound like somebody's in your pocket.
And August 2nd sounds like doomsday. Armageddon approaches. And you're saying it's basically a fiction.
Well, the same people who gave us August 2nd as doomsday gave us early May as doomsday, with all the same reasons.
Doomsday 2, I guess we have that.
Yes, it's sort of a fallback, like the guy the world was going to end, and now he's moved it back a little bit. Well, Geithner did the same thing, and people think of him as sane. So it'll move again. I believe they picked August 2nd because it's before the August recess, before congressmen and senators go home and get yelled at by the Tea Partiers.
Well, and then suddenly gaining currency today was July 4th is the new pre-Armageddon 2 deadline.
Conveniently July 4th. So it's a patriotic thing to raise taxes.
It gets better and better. Thank you very much, Grover. Great
to
see
be
you.
With you.
Norquist.